As we approach the end of 2023, let me ask you something. What do you think about this year as an anime fan? Me? I think it's pretty damn awesome. Sure, there were some low points like constant production delays, but I guess with the grind and rigor of the seasonal anime schedule, some things just can't be avoided. The good points and the highs more than make up for it, however, and I'm here to share with you what I think are the 20 most amazing anime 2023 has given us. Starting things off, we have Mashle.
Electoria Spy.
If the goofy character designs and the bright colours remind you of something else, then you're not alone. And what better anime to pay homage to than one of the biggest titles of the 2010s, One Punch Man? Mashle, in a lot of ways, feels like a knockoff, not just to One Punch Man, but to other popular intellectual properties like Harry Potter too. You've got the crazy, overpowered character who's quiet and unassuming, you've got the magic school, you've got the techniques and the over-the-top fights that are common in a lot of shonen, and it's all awesome. Mashle simply proves that you really don't have to be super original in order to be a success. It may seem like a point of criticism actually to call many bits of the show knockoffs, but practically speaking, it really isn't, as I believe it's mostly execution that matters here. At the end of the day, anime is here to entertain us, and with such a funny way of parodying anime tropes and overpowered protagonists, Mashle proves to be a winner. Next, we have the first of many new looks at old faces, Trigun Stampede. Bringing back legacy series and giving them the modern treatment in the form of remakes has been a thing the past couple of years now. Of course, we shouldn't expect them all to be remakes, as these new retouches aim to tell the story from different angles or approaches. They've mostly succeeded in varying degrees, although there are instances like Shaman King where things just had to be rushed like the anime team just wanted to get it over with. Thankfully though, Trigun Stampede isn't that, and as a fan of the original, I quite like the new approach they took with this one. Trigun's a franchise that's always amazed me with its world and strong thematic elements. It's been a pleasure being able to join Vash in his adventures back in the 90s, and I really don't mind how this modern version instead decided to focus more on the who and the how of things. It's a character-driven affair more than the predecessor, and it places more emphasis on hammering down the conflict between the brothers Vash and Knives. Trigun Stampede had some rough stretches in terms of reception to its CG, but I never found it to be jarring enough to take away enjoyment from this cool show. Whether you're a fan of the OG or a new fan looking to get into the franchise, Trigun Stampede should definitely have something for you. My Happy Marriage is one show that you don't want to miss. Shows that go all in on the drama and tragedy aren't exactly mainstream hits of a season. Even a known tearjerker, Your Lie in April, still had a bright and positive outlook enveloping the anime's run. As such, I didn't expect My Happy Marriage, which is a fitting title, to set the anime world on fire and be a trending show or anything like that actually. But don't let that dissuade you, however, because if you're looking to find yourself in a whirlwind of emotions and witness a kind of anime with a different feel from what you're really used to, then this is one of the best that 2023 had to offer. My Happy Marriage doesn't pull back or mince words when it comes to the fates of the characters. There's a sense of suffering and despair lingering in this series that feels quite cynical than what we've come to expect from fiction. Still, that doesn't change the fact that it's nothing short of amazing in the story build-up department, as well as incorporating art and music in bringing out those heavy emotions. The character work is impeccable, and thematically speaking, I really like that no matter how much heavy drama there is, there's always a sense of hope. No matter how bleak things may be, the anime also hammers in the fact that things could turn for the better. It may be muted, subtle, and all of that, but it's nevertheless there, forming a strong foundation to an underrated show. You hear that? It's the sound of the hottest mobile game to hit the market. I'm pleased to welcome today's sponsor, Reverse 1999, a 20th century strategic RPG that's sure to take you on a trip down memory lane. So, what's the buzz about? Reverse 1999 takes place in a world where spellcasters known as Arcanists coexist with humanity. It's the year 1999, and instead of time progressing on its last day, it suddenly began flying backward in a phenomenon called the Storm. You follow Vertin, the only Arcanist immune to the effects of the storm, as she looks to unravel the mystery behind this phenomenon. And that, my friends, is the backbone to an interesting game. Whether it's the fun gameplay you want or the unique premise and aesthetic, Reverse 1999 is looking poised to be the next breakout game just for you. The gorgeous looking skill animations are just a cherry on top of this very addictive game. The game's now available in both iOS and Android as well as PC. Whichever way you want to experience the game, click the link in the description in order to get some release perks. I'm talking about up to 73 summons and a guaranteed 6-star character within 30 summons. Talk about a great way to get you started on the adventure. Hope to see you in-game. Undead Girl Murder Farce is for those who like their fair share of whimsical mysteries. Integrating the supernatural with mysteries and setting the story against a Victorian backdrop has proven to be quite a successful formula. Undead Girl Murder Farce takes a crack at that setup to a good amount of success, giving anime fans a great crime-solving anime that's full of suspense. It relies quite a bit on shock value, yes, but it also doesn't take away from the fact that the series boasts some likable characters with great chemistry and a plot that's quite fun to follow. Atmosphere is always something to look out for in this genre, and I do think it's one of the strongest suits for the anime. It really helps supplement the nice character dynamics and the banter, which makes up the other part of what makes a show like this click for me. Mystery may not be the most popular genre around, but we have a diamond in the rough here, you know. We have another remake as the next entry on the list, Rurouni Kenshin. In the same vein as Trigun Stampede, Rurouni Kenshin 2023 looks to bring a beloved 90s classic up to speed with a more modern take. It retells the classic story of Kenshin, the wandering swordsman looking for redemption and swore to never kill again, in a style more similar to the original manga. That means way better animation and a cleaner look than the original. Especially those of us who've been around to watch the original may have found it a bummer that the comedy was toned down. I get that take and I do agree to a certain extent, but like what I said with Trigun Stampede, I don't think that change is bad at all. This new version of Kenshin aims to retell the same legendary story with a slightly different approach, and I think that the more accurate adaptation kind of makes up for it. It's an opinion that I'll find myself reiterating in another revival of a much beloved show down the line. Personally, I simply find it cool to see these popular anime of yesteryear get a modern rendition like this. It feels like a reunion with old school friends, and this time everyone looks better and acts in a way more apt for the modern era. There's a lot of love to put into this remake in places like faithfully adapting the core essence of the story, I'd say, and watching it put the skeptic in me to rest. Zom 100 brings zombies back to the spotlight in 2023. It doesn't seem too long ago when zombie flicks were all the craze. It's like a trend that comes every few years, it fades off, and then returns in a slightly different form. Literal zombie of a trend, if I may. Well, I don't think Zom 100 is here to bring back the hype for the zombie movie, but it sure manages to blend that concept with something a lot of young adults feel in this day and age of stressful work conditions and a bleak outlook of the future. Combining some modern dilemmas that resonate with the youth and their cynical outlook of the future as wage slaves with a zombie survival setting seems to be a decent enough setting, but what helped push Zom 100 to prominence is just how great everything looks. To say that it's cinematic in quality, especially in the first episode, is an understatement. With newer fans placing more and more emphasis on art quality and animation as a barometer of what constitutes a good anime, Zom 100 manages to surge towards its status as the biggest up-and-comer. Now then, the unfortunate release schedule is something else though. Dr. Stone New World marks the first sequel to be featured on this list.
世界一欲張りな男だからな。この空から種を見つけ出す。始めるぞ、センク。濃厚。
Dr. Stone has been an adventure anime to talk about. From one season to the other, the anime manages to take on various elements and genres and make them as immersive and captivating as they could ever be. We all know Dr. Stone as the educational shonen anime, but whether it be exploring a new world or an emotionally charged conflict between opposing ideologies, the series just makes it work. With that being said, expectations were pretty high as the cast takes on their next challenge in the new world, and it ended up being a voyage to remember. A fun adventure story and great character dynamics continue to be the hallmark for Dr. Stone, and New World doesn't let up in any way as far as those are concerned. As we gain new layers of intrigue regarding the petrification that kickstarted the whole plot and meet new characters that shake up the dynamic even more, there's even more reason to keep watching Dr. Stone. I'm pleased to say as well that it's generally maintained the good quality story and world building that started in its first season. Up next is Hell's Paradise. If you want something with a bit more edge in your adventure anime, Hell's Paradise could be your calling. The premise of an immortal convict setting sail to an island of danger with fellow convicts and his executioner seems thrilling enough, but wait till you see the actual action sequences. One thing Hell's Paradise always did for me is have me on the edge of my seat to how intense the best action sequences were. I also felt that the character and world building is really good in this anime, and the excitement never lets up per episode due to a mix of the mentioned intense action sequences and the unexpected deaths and turns in the narrative. One thing that people have noticed, that ends up being to the show's detriment is its reliance on narrative. There's a lot of narration in telling us about the island's dangers and all of that, so do keep it in mind when deciding to watch the anime. Still, it's a pretty nice watch if you want more hard-hitting action in your adventure anime. It's still fresh into its run, but I can't help but feature Frieren. Talk about a latecomer to the Anime of the Year sweepstakes. Frieren is a fall 2023 anime that I had high hopes for. It aired and broke those expectations, creating a wonderful story that defines what a complete anime looks like in 2023. The thing with Frieren is that it excels in so many areas, which makes it such a great anime to recommend to anyone looking to get into the medium. The story is well paced, and world building remains one of its strongest suits. And then you add to that the contemplative yet hopeful mood and multifaceted characters that embody those ideals, as well as visuals that are nothing short of breathtaking, and you've then got what I call award-winning cinema in anime form. If you've got a friend looking to get into anime and is more of the type who prioritizes strong narrative and character building over cool action sequences, then this would be my pick for the whole of 2023. What the show lacks in the hype factor, not that it needs any given its themes and genre, it more than makes up for with pretty much everything that critics and pundits would love in an anime. Demon Slayer has come a long way now, hasn't it? It no longer feels like the juggernaut it once was, with the new competitors rising from the horizon. Still, it continues to do what it does best, and that's give us eye-popping fights with spectacular visuals. The visuals and the sound have always been Demon Slayer's strong suit and what propelled it to become the behemoth that it is. Things seem to have taken a bit of a downturn though, but that's to be expected, given that the Swordsmith Village was coming off a hype arc and was more focused on character building over the fighting. Still though, it delivered when it needed to, giving us a couple more moments to remember. We're now approaching the endgame, and I can see a bright future ahead for Demon Slayer. The last few clashes against the Upper Moons will be glorious, and I hope you're going to be there to witness it. Let's continue bringing out the big guns now. Up next is Mushoku Tensei Season 2. Mushoku Tensei is always a subject of discussion in the anime community for many reasons, and it's continued to bring more of the same buzz with its second season. With a new season comes new challenges for our protagonist, who finally has to come face to face with one of the challenges in adolescence: heartbreak. Suffering a worse fall than ever and finding a renewed vigor to seek out answers regarding his life, he continues his adventures through the Northern Territories. Mushoku Tensei has maintained its status as a do-it-all isekai that looks pretty and really emphasizes character growth. It's one of the more direct anime in terms of following a protagonist's footsteps as he continues his march through life and its challenges, exploring not only new lands but also new feelings within himself. There's still more action in this second season, but the mood is generally more somber and reflective. We move on to Oshinoko for the next entry. Around the middle of the year, Oshinoko was the hottest property in town. It's one of the most popular anime, and it's not hard to see why. It didn't waste time putting itself in position to make a statement. A movie-length opener with an amazing ending, a narrative that's just so immersive, and characters who all exude charisma while they struggle through all too relatable dilemmas. There's so much to like about Oshinoko, and that's not even talking about how it shows the rigors and less glamorous side of the entertainment industry. Oshinoko is an anime that expertly knocks some dark truths into the face of its its audience before shifting gears and showing that there's a good and dreamy side to all the struggles at the end of it all. The characters and how they were written form the backbone of Oshinoko's rise. They've no doubt been the most integral part of the story, and when you put them into challenges brought about by the plot, you've got a series that you just can't let go of. A second season is on the way too, so you better get yourself up to speed with this one now. Blade of the Guardians lands in the top half of the list. If there's something I've learned from covering the best of Chinese anime, it's that they spare no effort when it comes to animation. These are shows that don't have a lot of marketing, aren't exactly appealing to the typical anime audiences at first glance, and often get buried underneath the blockbusters of every season. Yet, watching them, I develop a sense of appreciation for the effort and flexing by the animators, pushing a decent to good story to something that I'll gladly vouch for and recommend. 2023's testament to that is none other than The Blade of the Guardians, a story that's pretty simple in premise, but shows its excellence when it comes to characters and animation. A story of a man accepting dangerous missions in ancient China that inevitably escalates tenfold may seem to be a plot that's not unique, but it all hinges on the execution, and the way Blade of the Guardians moved with its plot, I can't help but keep wanting more. Historical anime are also something I like, so that could have played into why I ended up enjoying this one so much actually. This is something you can give a chance if you're looking for those diamonds in the rough in the world of anime. Barely any marketing, but in it lies one of the most captivating stories 2023 has given us. Bungo Stray Dogs is in its 4th and 5th seasons for this year, and it just keeps getting better. Bungo Stray Dogs has the distinction of being an anime that just keeps getting better season after season. While the same getting better late down the line can be said of many shows, Bungo Stray Dogs manages to sustain that upward trajectory that a lot of popular series can't, having lull periods in between epic arcs, for example. To put it simply, this franchise has only gotten more and more interesting, and it still remains underrated for how good it's become. A lot of it has to do with how the stakes have become higher now compared to before. I've seen a couple of people note that this was the first time threats felt super real for some of the characters, something that I'm actually inclined to agree with. With how well this season has done in the character development department, it adds to the thrill and suspense of waiting for each episode and wondering what twists the story has left to throw at its audience. The hype for Heavenly Delusion wasn't misplaced, and it's ended up being one of the best anime of the year. I've got to admit that I didn't know what to make of Heavenly Delusion at first. A post-catastrophic world with an isolated society that's not exactly what it seems on the surface. What I love about Heavenly Delusion is how it engages the viewer. Mysteries are much more fun when the audience gets a chance to join in with wondering about the events, piecing together puzzles and the like. The way stories from inside the nursery society and the outside world are told side by side is just genius, allowing anime fans to use their brains and just piece things together. Like the mentioned shows, there's this eerie and uncomfortable feeling hanging over most of Heavenly Delusion, and it contrasts perfectly with more light-hearted scenes. There's some strong character work as well, and it works hand in hand with some of the more mature themes that the anime showcases in its narrative. I won't exactly call Heavenly Delusion an underappreciated title from its season, since a lot of people I know did take a crack at it. However, in terms of quality, it can more than stand toe-to-toe with the giants of 2023 without half the popularity of something like, say, Oshinoko. This anime is a real gem that you should definitely try. Here's Pluto taking this next spot on the list. The people who came into watching Pluto may have done it out of reputation. With the renowned name behind the anime, someone could easily brush Pluto off as a show living on reputation. But it's the real deal. If you're up for a mature sci-fi mystery that wrestles with the idea of humans and robots coexisting, then you've come to the right place. Pluto keeps its narrative pretty compact, spanning 8 episodes of an hour each, every moment filled with scenes that either make you think or get your heart pumping. That's pretty much what you'll like from a crime thriller, and with the plethora of cliffhangers, it won't take long for anyone to get hooked. Seriously, give Pluto a shot. It may not have as much hype as the biggest hits of 2023, but it is a true gem, full of great action and introspective questions.
人間の像は消えますか? 消去しても消えないものですか?
Bleach marches on as one of the best of 2023, narrowly missing my top 3 spot. In what's become one of the greatest revivals of them all, we have Bleach maintaining its momentum with the 1000-year Blood War. It's not an understatement to say that a bit over half a decade ago, Bleach's reputation was in the gutter thanks to its final arc in the manga, unanswered questions and lots of rushing being the main culprit. Thankfully though, the anime has filled in the holes and given us so much more. What I've said about the first part of the 1000-year Blood War holds true for its second part, which has gone the extra mile in giving anime viewers more lore and fights that were far improved from their manga counterparts. All of a sudden, a lot of the context and the emotional stakes for the titanic clashes in the arc started to make a lot more sense. Bleach fans have been feasting since the 1000-year Blood War anime arrived, and it will continue for the foreseeable future. But take note, we're just at the halfway point. We've still got an entire half of Bleach ahead, a half which will no doubt add even more background and layers to some of the most intriguing characters Kubo ever came up with. Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 takes the next spot. I find it fitting to place Bleach and Jujutsu Kaisen next to each other. One glance and you can tell that the former had a strong influence on the latter, and it just feels surreal that both are airing in 2023 and both are at the peak of their powers in terms of anime adaptation. I actually had a hard time deciding which one to put over the other, so we can consider this a virtual tie. Regardless, Jujutsu Kaisen more than deserves its spot here for how good Season 2's been, having far and above surpassed the goodness that is in the first season. Given how much of a big deal the first season was, that is a high bar to reach, you know, and Season 2 did it with one of the best arcs in shonen altogether. The Shibuya arc is everything you'd want from a big-time shonen arc, and peak animation in the key fights that will be remembered for years to come. It's crazy, and that's understating things. Not much more needs to be said about the Shibuya arc, so just go and watch it now. In second place is Attack on Titan, the final season. Now, if you were to go back a decade ago and tell me that the thrilling show about humans standing up and fighting against unstoppable titans would turn out to be whatever this final season has become, I just wouldn't have believed you. Yet at that time, my gut would also tell me that it's within the realm of possibility. Attack on Titan has certainly come a long way, and the drastic change in status quo in preparation for this part of the final season makes for an ultimate confrontation to remember. People have been calling the final season the best one so far, and while that is debatable, I think it speaks to how well Attack on Titan has transitioned as the goals of the story and the characters' motivations have changed. Compare this season to the first one, and you'll feel like you're looking at a different show given the drastic shift in status quo and overlying philosophy behind the series. It just speaks to how flexible Attack on Titan is in giving consistently immersive plotlines for fans to follow while telling a message through different lenses. Along with some amazing work by the anime team in the production department, this is the finale that Attack on Titan fans deserve. They've been waiting for this pretty much for a decade, and it's time to see the thrilling conclusion. Finishing up, we have Vinland Saga, my top anime of 2023. It might be a pretty surprising pick to many to a certain extent. I've made it no secret that I just love Vinland Saga. I really like the anime and even had it as the best anime of 2019. But things have changed for the series. No longer is it about the dangerous and daring adventures through the seas. No longer is it a gritty tale of revenge and internal intrigue. It's ended up becoming a slice-of-life / drama show, so what gives? I'd argue that even in this form, Vinland Saga continues to excel in what it does best: character writing. The change in genre might be jarring to a lot of fans from 2019, and honestly speaking, I did feel that way too. But if you look past the fact that there's not too much of the intense action anymore, the essence, the key components of what makes it so great, they're actually still there. Spectacular art that lets us take in some breathtaking scenery, methodical plot points that help build character and give us some time to reflect, as well as a lot of philosophical questions imbued in the narrative. Vinland Saga actually feels like it's pushed the bounds of what anime typically is, and that to me makes it deserving of this spot as my best anime of 2023. It's been a fun journey of reflection and nostalgia, and I hope you've had fun watching this video. Once again, we at ViniTube thank Reverse1999 for sponsoring today's video. Click the link in the description in order to get some release perks. Hope to see you in-game. But before you go, you might want to drop by the rest of the channel and look for videos that might interest you. Till next time.